Biafrans and lovers of freedom, I want to welcome you to this broadcast this day, the 24th of August 2022. Today is Thursday, 24th. Of course, we know that in 2 days' time, we shall be having our fundraising against the facts of the matter on ground to safeguard our land through ESN and also to fund the actual liberation of God's people. And the basis of the fundraising is to make sure that we're able to get arms. You know, this time around, we're no more hiding them. We're no more hiding what we want to do, because they are no more hiding the way they are killing us. They are killing us and they are openly bragging about it. They are supported by the world. If you don't know how the world is supporting, then just observe and look at the media all over the nations of the world. Are they reporting it? Are they saying what is happening? Are they talking about the situation we're in? They are not. They can't and they will not, because they are actually sentimentally sanctioning or accepting or allowing these people to actually do what they are doing. And the reason why they're doing that anyways is as simple as they are profiting from the resources that is in Biafra land. They are profiting from, they are doing their businesses all over Biafra land, oil and gas businesses, they are doing all over the place, and it is profiting them. And as long as the Fulanis keep on, it will profit them better, because the Fulanis are corrupt, and so they also are corrupting, making money. The Fulanis are not going to demand for accountability because they are corrupt and they are stealing the money. So, each of them covering their asses. That the Fulanis still cover their ass, and they still cover the asses of the Fulanis. So corruption is thriving, and none of them would want to make things go bad for their businesses. None of them will want to kick against the other so that they don't get themselves out of business. That is why the globe is supporting this annihilation of Biafrans and the situation that we are in now. We're going to be looking at some critical things in this particular broadcast. But before we go on, as usual, I always introduce myself. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and I'm a Biafran, and I'm determined that we get freedom. One of those who have been assigned and called by Chukwu Kikiabiama in this season of liberation and appointed to be part of this, especially in this autopilot mood. As soon as Mazinam called for the 100 men to join, we began to identify ourselves by the calling that is upon our lives, to see that we align with this course, so that we can all bring together our abilities and talents. And suddenly, the autopilot mood was set by Mazin Namdekanu before he was kidnapped, and then Mazi Samonekpa became, positioned for that for that application, or for the implementation of the autopilot mood via new dimension. That is why you see that what we are doing critically right now is we are using the tactics of the new dimension, which we have gotten into right now, to implement the autopilot mode. The autopilot mode was actually designed to utilize the new dimension concept. Most of you don't understand this. When wisdom is indefinitely, you will see that those who are not wise will begin to run mad, because they want the consistency, or this the dimension, or the we call it I want to call it I'm thinking of a word. They want the dispensation of ignorance to continue, so that they will keep enjoying their loots and their thieving, and their thieving programs, like Muhammad Abbas, aka Chinasa Wonru, Chikedozium and Co. Like they have always wanted. They want their status quo to continue, so that they will keep stealing, but they don't understand what spiritual things are about, because when it concerns spiritual things, there's always a dispensation to it. If you look at humanity, the lives we have, the stages of humanity, anyways, from the beginning of creation, you discover that we have gone through dispensations that actually had programs in them, according to the dispensation which God has designed for humanity. They had programs. Of course, we're in the dispensation of grace now. We started with the dispensation of conscience, and all of that, antediluvian age. dispensation of conscience, God, the human government, the law and all of that. All those things started coming until we are now in the dispensation of grace. And each of these dispensation have a program for it. And that is why you see that people always fight another dispensation coming in, because they are natural. Because they are human, they don't understand spiritual things. They are not connected to the spirit. And because they are not connected to the spirit, they begin to fight the dispensation which the divine had already programmed to happen at a particular time. We can see it in the life, of the people, all through the programs of the world and through the programs of activities of humanity. You can also see it when, the dispensation of grace came when Jesus was born, to institute the dispensation of grace and salvation to humanity. Jesus was a Jew, of course. He was a complete Jew, and he came into the realm, into the world of the Jews, and he was born into the Jewish family, whose root is David, in the human concept of now natural process. Of course, we're not talking about divinity. Of course, he is God, and we understand that. But when he came as flesh, in human form, he came to institute the dispensation of grace. And then along the line, we saw how people fought that dispensation of grace. You saw what the scribes did. You saw what the Pharisees did. You saw what the Sadducees did. You saw what the wicked people during his time did. They all did what they wanted to do, or they did because they actually didn't understand how God operates. They didn't understand the processes and the dimension of God's and program, and because they are not actually in the spirit. The truth about it is that when people are full of themselves, and also afraid and afraid, yes, of change, based on the fact that they are actually in control now, they fear that something will change, and when it changes, it moves them out, it plunges them into dissuaditude. That means it puts them in a position where their time becomes irrelevant. They actually want to fight to keep what they have so that they will be able to stop what is about to happen. You can see that in the life of Herod. When he heard about a new king was born, and he heard of the Magi's, the three Magi's, he sent for them when they said they have seen the star. When they came to him, he actually said that, please go look for this star and go look for this place, where they said the king is born. And please, when you get there and you find the king, also come give me information so I can go also worship him. He knew that there is a dispensational transition, into another phase of operation. Herod knew this. And he knew that he felt that his own government is threatened. People feel threatened when they think that something new is going to happen, especially when they are ignorant of the new thing that's about to happen. And then so when they became afraid, when he became afraid, so he told them he was threatened. He felt threatened. I'm the Herod. Why would a new king be born in my time to now change the status quo? And then I will now go into this way to you. You will now come and take over my place. He will now become the king of the Jews and lead the Jews to freedom. He felt threatened, and so he wanted to kill that child, that Jesus that was born. But what happened? Of course, some of us know the stories anyways. Those of us who are conversant with Bible and scripture. Those of you who don't understand it, you have to go and find out the story. Read the book of Matthew, of course, Matthew chapter 1, chapter 2. You'll be able to find the stories, because of course you can also find the story in the book of Luke chapter 1, chapter 2. You'll find the story also, the story of John the Baptist and all of that, to the dispensation of Jesus when he was born, and then instituting the realm of grace. Now, what is my point here now? I'm trying to talk about the dispensation of grace and the activities of grace. And of course, when Herod saw that there's going to be a transition into another kind of government, he thought it was going to be a natural transition where they will now dethrone him, and somebody else, Jesus will now take over the throne and begin to rule. So he wanted to kill Jesus. He never knew that God's program is different from human ways. Now, the same way also, the people in the defunct DOS, that means those people who have been sacked by the people of Biafra, sacked from the position of DOS. You remember, you see, when they were there, under the previous dispensation of this freedom, not understanding that it is the spirit that directs this and regulates this course of our freedom movement. They never understood it. The same way other people who have come and gone, like Uchemefo and Co came, that dispensation came and they were moved away, and another dispensation came and were moved away. And of course, all these things are just them moving us close to our freedom. These certain people, Muhammad Abbas and Co, never knew and understood the concept of dispensational change or program in a particular dispensation. They never knew that dispensations have programs at a particular time. And so when it was their time, they were actually busy doing family meetings, turned a freedom fight system into family meetings. What they did was every time they hold meetings and they ask for meetings, they raise and they appoint coordinators, and they made Nnamdi Kanu to continue to remain on that level, pushing him in the realm of family issues, bringing in family issues. This one is rebelling here, that one is rebelling here, these ones are not sending their monthly dues and all of that. They were concerned about a kind of family administrative program that will just bring in funds, that will help them accumulate funds and get funds and then make money. And then they were paying themselves salaries. You heard, of course, Chike does him earning $2,000. You can imagine what he's doing, being abroad and at the same time taking $2,000. And you can imagine what others are taking. And in fact, they were even saying that it was even small. They have to increase it. When people started, when the WIFI now leaked the secret, they said even this $2,000 is even too small. You have to raise it. So they are just there for their stomach infrastructural style of freedom fighting, where they just hold family meetings, the people contribute their funds. As long as that family meeting holds and funds are contributed, it was okay for them. And so, yes, that dispensation was good to build, the statistics, or the statistical base of IPOB. It was necessary because that was the dispensation at that point in time. There was need for us to begin to have grassroots, sensitization, grassroots mobilization, and grassroots, information or informing. Getting the grassroots to understand. So it was able to help us build families, the IPOB family all over Biafra land. Of course, when you go to Biafra land, every village or community seemed to have IPOB instituted. So that was a particular dispensation in the program of liberation. It was that time, of course, it was necessary. Even if some people will always cash into take advantage of every dispensation, to enrich themselves. Yes, we understand that. Of course, when the process of dispensational change comes into play, you find people, capitalizing on it for their personal benefits and their personal profiting. Yes, it was normal. Of course, that was why you saw that when as IPOB was gaining ground and spreading to communities in Biafra land and spreading to the whole parts of Biafra land, through family unions and all of that, constituting families. Some people saw it as a means of extracting funds from the people and at the same time, stealing from the people. Yes, it was a dispensational program. It was meant to establish the next dispensation. Even if those people who are going to steal from it are going to steal from it, even if those people, it was not, you can't necessarily say it was a wrong dispensation because people capitalized on it to, fund themselves. No, it wasn't actually. It's just like when you talk about the period of the law, you saw some people were gaining, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were gaining from the law. They were gaining, of course, they were the ones in charge of the temple. They were gaining, making monies for themselves, getting fame for themselves, and being important to the people. And then when dispensation of grace came, they were threatened by that dispensation of grace, which was mastered by Jesus himself coming. And when he came, he became the one who instituted the dispensation of grace. And the Pharisees began to feel threatened. And of course, they had made money, they had made fame, they had made everything through that dispensation of the law. Yes, they have made all those fame and all of that. They were very, 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 very happy about it because it was profiting them. But they never knew that the dispensational change was going to come. And then when it came, it became a threatening force to them. And they started fighting it. The same way also in IPOB, the dispensation of family reunion, of course, which Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said, we have to build the families, and he was concerned about building the families because family reunion and designing, in the level of this dispensation under IPOB and freedom fight was necessary so that we'll be able to sensitize the community people, the village people, the people in the communities all over Biafra land and the world at large, so that in the globe, wherever we're found, in the diaspora and in the communities in Biafra land, people will be able to come together, and talk. And then the message, as it is coming from Radio Biafra, then when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was here, will begin to saturate the minds of the people and begin to sow the seed of freedom and the understanding that the people have to know, and the understanding people have to have about what we're doing and about their history, about their current situation, about the cause of the situation, about who is behind it, about how not to sabotage, about those who will always sabotage, about those who sabotaged the war, about what led to the war, about the situation of the war, and about the result of the war, and about the processes after the war, and about to the time that we are now right now in and seeking for our freedom, about the issues that have happened all through this period. The family time was the time when all this information was going to be given to the people so that they'll be able to understand all of these details. And of course, that happened, definitely. It was critically enforced, and now we have IPOB family all over the world, everywhere we have the family built. Now, from the stage of the family, it became another dispensation, which is the dispensation, of force. And that is the dispensation of automatic display and execution of the freedom fight program. That is what we now see that is playing now when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu declared the autopilot mood. The declaration of the autopilot mood now has brought us to the dispensation and the point where now we are with the ESN was established, and then the dragon flag was raised, and then our people now we're going to get our arms together because they have been killing us. They've been killing us even in the time of family reunion concept and programming and all of that. When we're bringing our people together to understand what we're doing, they were still killing us. Now we have gotten to the point where now we have to fight back, because of course there is always sacrifice in every dispensation. Some people, get themselves in the situation where they now become the sacrifice, and for that period, so all of these now happened, and now we have found ourselves in the situation that we're in now, which is the dispensation of the autopilot mood. And that is where we are now. And so many things are happening. Now, let me take your mind back right now. Yesterday, Mazi Samanepa, yesterday, the 23rd August 2022, that is yesterday, Wednesday, he actually projected a particular video to us, and where it was shown that, sorry for the noise. Anyways, I'm just in a very noisy place. Sorry about that. Please don't, and there are some construction works going on and around. So please just concentrate on what I'm saying. There's no way I can stop this video now because of the noise. And please just concentrate on what I'm saying. Now, and this time, Mazi Samanepa now played that video. The video talked about the federal government of Nigeria sitting with Miyetti Allah, which is a terrorist organization, or the terrorist body that programs and protects and shields the terrorists, the Boko Haram, the ISIS, all their criminal bodies and their terrorist sections and terrorist segments and institutions. They are all institutions in their own regard. Miyetti Allah is actually the father body, or the broad union that enhances or that covers, that's the covering, or that is in charge of all these terrorist organizations. And so, of course, we saw the video that was made, and Mazi Samanepa played it yesterday, and it was talking about the federal government, negotiating with them, and we saw the police IG and other people saying that it was good for them to be given money so that they can stop the killings, which means they recognize that Miyetti Allah is actually the umbrella body that houses, or that the umbrella body that is in charge of all these terrorist organizations. They recognize that fact from that video. So obviously we know now that Miyetti Allah is a terrorist organization, the father of all the terrorist sects that they have, and so it is obvious then. That means the federal government knows this, and they know the leaders of Miyetti Allah. They are part of their government. They are members of the government. El Rufai and co are part of Miyetti Allah. Muhammadu Buhari is the patron of Miyetti Allah before he died, anyways. And the person who is fronting us here, Muhammadu Buhari now, is now sitting in that position of the patron of Miyetti Allah. And of course, we have most of this, not like Bagudu, Akebi State Governor, and other people who are part of Shetima, who is strongly part of Miyetti Allah. They are all in that, in that organization. And now they are saying they want to negotiate with themselves, to stop the killings. Now, it was a tactical, administrative procedure to actually transfer funds, huge funds, to the purse of Miyetti Allah to continue to buy weapons. Remember, there is this issue of the 21 billion that has been instituted in the 1989 Abuja Declaration, that was meant to Islamize Africa. You remember that? So now the Miyetti Allah, razzmatazz and the brouhaha, the all those their gimmicks, having a meeting to negotiate and all of that was another game plan, one of their programs to just transfer funds into the purse of Miyetti Allah. It isn't actually, meant to actually mean that they are trying to stop the killings. No, it was just a jamboree to prove that there's an activity, to deceive those gullible people, like those people who are shouting, for Peter Obi, who are shouting for one Nigeria, who are still clamoring, those people who have been deceived. There are always few of them anyways. Majority of us know the games that the Nigeria system is playing. We know the games that the West African countries are playing. We know that the games that the African nations are playing. We know the games that the Arab world is playing. And we know the sentimental game that Britain and its allies are playing. Only few countries, of course, are not in that game, and they're fighting that kind of this kind of system. That is why you see wars everywhere, because people are disagreeing and knowing that some of these policies and all of that are favorable to some people and not favorable to some people. And of course, you cannot enforce and cause us all come to become Muslims because you want a global unification or a global order that will be of control. Remember, religion has always been a stooge of control. So this enforcement of religious, system of, through Sharia and all of that, hijacking the Constitution of Nations and instituting Sharia, as the Constitution, has become a major malaise to global peace and all of that. That is why you see wars everywhere, because it's either you are choosing between Sharia or the secular oppression, or secular ways of dealing with circumstances and all of that. Now, I was talking about, the video, and then they now say they want to negotiate with Miyetti Allah, and Miyetti Allah was demanding 160 million. Of course, it's 160. Is it 160 billion now? Yes, 160 billion. Yes, 160 billion naira. Now you can imagine that level of sum. They know that they are going to actually what they want to take from the purse is 100 billion, but they needed to say something like 160 billion, so that it would be like they now negotiated, and they came to the point of agreeing to give them 100 billion. And then, of course, that is also one of the monies that is supposed to be sent to be added to the $21 billion that has been initially designed for Islamization. That money, 21 billion, is different. It has been put down, laid aside for that purpose. It has been raised and put there and given to their office where they operate from. Now, this 100 billion is an extra which they want to remove from the purse. And of course, all the ones they've been removing from, they say they want to get people, those who have been kidnapped to be rescued. They give out. They keep giving out. They keep giving out. They don't tell us how much they give. They keep giving every day. They are sending monies to them in guise of ransom paying. So they kidnap you, and then they negotiate within themselves, and they tell you that they have paid ransom. To put it in there to mean that they have paid ransom to rescue you, and then they keep using it as a means of taking money from the coffers of the government to fund that program, aside the 21 billion. Now, remember, I told you that the 21 billion is the one Nigeria has given, the one the government of Nigeria has given. You have not talked about the one the Arab world, the nations of the Arab world have given. You have not talked about the nations of the Africa, countries have given, because it was a program for Islamization of Nigeria. Of Nigeria and Islamization of Africa. Now, in that video that Mazi Simon Ekpa played, there's something critical that you should understand. First, of course, we have been able to establish that the government recognizes Miyetti Allah as a terrorist organization, because you cannot be talking about Boko Haram, terrorizing you. You cannot be talking about ISIS terrorizing you, and you are calling Mieti Allah to negotiate with them on behalf, or to negotiate on your behalf with Boko Haram and all of that. If I am someone who is negotiating on behalf of terrorist organizations, it simply means that there is a connection between me and the terrorist bodies. That's what it means. If I am going to be sitting to negotiate with you and Satan, it simply means that there's a connection between, for Satan to accept me to stand as a mediator means that Satan has I have a soft spot for him, and he has a soft spot for me. And of course, he knows that you, being the target, have no choice than to talk to me, because you know that you will always listen to me. So, which means that if, let me just put it this way, if, like they were using Gumi, the man that called himself a sheikh or whatever he's called, they were using him, like they were using him to do the negotiations and all of that. If Boko Haram, ISIS, and all of that can easily listen to Mieti Allah, or listen to Gumi, or listen to all these people, how come they are not listening to them to drop their arms? Rather, they are listening to them to negotiate, to collect money. How come they are not listening to them to stop kidnapping? How come these people who have influence over Mieti Allah, and who have influence over these terrorists, cannot use their influence to tell them to stop kidnapping, or to stop collecting monies, ransom that's meant to develop the country, or stop attacking people, or stop killing people? How come they don't have that influence to tell them to stop killing, influence to negotiate, to collect funds from you? You see, these people who talk about one Nigeria and one Nigeria, we must make this country great, we must make these nations great. There are so many things that make me worry about the way you reason. The way you reason is flawed in all ramifications, in spite of your certificate, in spite of whatever academic achievements you said you have gotten, in spite of your years of experience, whatever business level or whatever field of life you are in. It is shocking. If you say Gumi is actually representing and a good person, like one of my friends, in Niger Delta, he replaced the call Niger Delta region. There's nothing like that anyways. But let's just use it, and for the purpose of this broadcast, the area called Niger Delta. I have a friend there, a top somebody who is, of course, he's a diplomat, because he was able to do some stuff basically in the Niger Delta to stop the militant operations and all of that, and with them to negotiate with the government of Yadua. Then he was strongly part of that, and in fact, he was the one who initiated that anyways. He always says that Gumi is a nice man. Gumi is this, Gumi is that. We cannot get, we are disregarding somebody who is like a savior. We are doing this, we are doing that, blah, blah. He's always talking about this. Now, the question I want to ask to all so-called Nigerians is this. If Gumi is so much respected by terrorists, in fact, when you see when they shake his hand, they shake his hands and they bow down to him. They discuss. They are so free, confident. They don't think of his cutting his neck. They give him that revered, honor. If Gumi is so honored by this terrorist, and if he has an influence over these terrorists, if Gumi has an influence over these terrorists, or if Mieti Allah has an influence over these terrorists, and they respect them so much, how come Mieti Allah or Gumi cannot tell them to stop killing people? How come they cannot tell them to stop cutting the necks of people? How come they cannot tell them to drop their arms? But they can always come to negotiate, to collect money from you, or to collect money from the government, to give to them. And yet, when they give to them, and yet the same Gumi will come, to still be the ones to negotiate. They have the power to negotiate. These people can trust them to negotiate, to get money from you, but they cannot have their arms, to drop their arms. They can. Does that not tell you something? That there's something wrong with us, especially those who are shouting one Nigeria? That you say that Gumi is trying to do a good job. Gumi is standing as a mediator. Gumi is doing this. He's doing this. Gumi is doing that. He's a nice man. How come he's a nice man? The terrorists will listen to him, but they cannot listen to him to stop their people. They can only listen to comment to you monies that they have been collecting from all the time Gumi is sitting or talking or eating. All the monies they are collecting, the monies are still being collected. They have not stopped killing. They have not stopped anything. They have not stopped the terrorism. They have not stopped the evil. They are still doing the same things. How come? Doesn't that tell you that something is wrong? Doesn't that tell you that these people, Mieti Allah, Gumi and Co, they are all one and partners in crime? Because Gumi keep talking about money, government should bring money. Mieti Allah keeps saying government should bring money. They all keep saying that government should bring money. But they are not saying, hey, terrorists, stop your killings. Yes, terrorists, okay, you have collected enough. You have collected enough monies. We have given you enough money. We have given you 100 billion. We have given you 20 billion. We have given you 50 billion. We have given you all the billions they are releasing to them. They are not telling them that you have collected enough. Stop killing. But they will keep still telling you, we have to still negotiate. After they have collected another people, they have kidnapped another group of people. We have to negotiate with them. They kidnap again, they come again. Oh, Gumi will come. Oh, they have kidnapped again. We have to negotiate with them. They keep negotiating and they keep collecting money from you, and your brain does not tell you that something is wrong. Oh, Nigerians. Oh, Nigerians. Oh, Nigerians. I pity. In fact, there are some people that I thought know better, who are my friends, who are, my friends, and, we're good friends, and I respect them, and they respect me. And of course, and then some of them are pastors, top, been in the ministry for a long time, and some of them have been, in businesses for so long time that I so much regard and respect. But I am always shocked at their level of reasoning. I am so shocked that they believe so much in one Nigeria to the extent that they keep talking about this issue of one Nigeria. It keeps making me shocked about how a flawed system that is not workable. Shocked at their attitude, at their mindset, at their beliefs, and at their their personality. Because I think problems. That is why sometimes I find it hard to discuss with some of them anymore, because I'm disappointed. I feel so disappointed because I can't believe that this person who is so intelligent cannot understand what is happening. In fact, there's one of them when we're talking. Anytime I raise the issue, I want to go critical. Let's read, please. I don't want to hear. And let's not talk about it. Let's change the subject. I'll hang up now. Stop. God, is it that somebody can be so much beyond that they now don't want to reason along any line they know in their mind to continue to lead and direct them? It is so shocking. The topic for today. Anyways, so let's go on. Now, these people, it is proven that they live within us. Of course, you know that Tiala is led of people in the government of Nigeria, the federal government and the state governments. It's led by these people. So now we have come to establish the fall. Of course, you know them. I've mentioned them. They are led the Sokoto Caliphate, the president of the country, or president of the country, which using the name of the president, the office Buhari, who is now late, using his name to rule. He was a patron, and so this one is using that guys, of course, to continue. These are people who call themselves leader of Yetiala, and yet these leaders of the system cannot stop who are under the organizations. What does that tell you? Mietiala, ISIS under it, has Al-Shabaab, has all these killers or sects, Boko Haram and all of that under them. But yet they cannot stop them. but yet they can negotiate to collect money from your purse belong to Nigeria. They can negotiate to collect money to give to them, but they cannot negotiate to stop them from killing. It's negotiating on their behalf. They are always negotiating on their behalf. Now, to stop killing and do all of this, they are not stopping. How come they are not raiding their hideouts? How come they have the ability to take over a state? Did you hear that? You don't know that RFI said that? RFI said that they have taken, they have established parallel governments. Even Shehu Sani said it in an interview with Channels Television in the zoo. Governments now, they have their governments. They have their parallel governments collecting taxes from the people before they go to taxes from the people. So obviously, the same Yetiala is to pretend over the same people, the same sets that are under them, taking over the community as they negotiate on their behalf, pay them to stay in the name of telling us that they have negotiated, and 3 days they are still taking over the communities, taking over the government of the community, and they are still negotiating with them, collecting money from the purse. Now, these same people now are taking over the military in Kaduna State, which of course is the major base of military immunization. I'm sorry, that this situation of a military base in the whole of Nigeria. That is headquarters, the headquarters of the military base all over Nigeria. That same state has been taken over. It has a parallel government of terrorists. And then the same Etiala, president, are all stakeholders, board members, and in control. Does not demand that the same way we have been telling these people to stop killing. There are people on, but yet they have refused to listen to us. So they have rebelled. They are committing rebellion against leadership principles as Mietiala, because we are against killings and all of that. I'm just giving you. We have told them to stop killing. They don't want to stop killing. So we are going to raid them massively. Have you said they're sending the militaries, raiding communities in a place in the east, in Biafran land, where the people are trying to do what they need to do so that their states will not be like Plateau State, will not be like other places over in the northern region, even in Benue. We are doing everything in Biafra land to the same government sends military to come and kill us for trying to stop ourselves. These sects under their body, or under the organization called Mietiala. What does that tell you? You, this Nigerian, I don't want to call you this Nigerian that have no sense, that has no sense. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? That something is wrong with you. That there's a level of ignorance that has taken over your mentality that needs to be revisited. And not just that it is a problem, it is complex and it is dangerous, that has to be visited. That's what it means. So now let's look at it. Let's go further. Now in that video, they said they're going to collect, they're going to pay them 100 billion. Now there's something that Mazik Simon Ekpa is going to also be talking about tonight. It has to do with with Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS means. Economic Community. That means it has to do with the economic base. This community, of course, you know that economy, the economy of every country, or the structure of that country, because it is the economy of that country that determines the military strength of that country. Every country's economy is sense or a revealer of the potency or ability. So, which means that the political structure of a country, economy of that country, to be more potent. That means if the is low and down, the political strength is weakened, as destruction and chaos. That is why you see that when you go to Sri Lanka, the other time there was this, the riot was so intense that the government, the home of the president was. That tells you the level of economic power. You know why that riot was taken? Things were expensive. The economy was grounded. Till today, they are struggling. They just did this about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they just elected a new president. You know, which the prime, who was actually appointed prime minister before the elections. The president went out of the country, flee out of the country. Now, but the economic situation was what caused the tension and situation of the country. So if you want to talk about any country's political stability and power, its economic background and base. That is why you should not take the organization's name, Economic Community of Work, because the economy is very, very important. Now, this economic community with everything that has to do with everything that concerns and other transactions in every country. So in West Africa, all their financial system are all structured or positioned or the umbrella name ECOWAS, because it is from the economy you make all the fund technology, to fund even politics, to fund the social life of the people, to fund every aspect is from the economy. So now the economic community, that they are looking critically at the powerhouse of the nation, everything that has to do with the survival of West Africa depends. The economy of West Africa is now subject under the auspices of African states. Now, I'm still analyzing that video. Still, ECOWAS, the economic power or the survival household or the survival icon of Africa's institution, or West Africa's position, as under this ECOWAS, we have all West African presidents or their rulers, because I call them rulers, they are not leaders. The dictates of the 1989 what they said was that all of Africa to be Islamic. And so to achieve that, economic hijack, which means that one is and the finances needed to get must be made available. And to get the finances this done, you require to plunge into the finances. That was why, as massive as 21 was taken from the economy of Nigeria, in spite of other countries of Africa, taken out of the coffers, the economic base, or the economy. Let me not say the coffers now, because you may taken out of the economy of Nigeria. Now, the countries of West Africa must be Islamic. It simply means that money is required, right? Nigeria gave 21 billion. That is why they still keep collecting billions and billions through kidnaps and all of that. Now you go to do your businesses. You go to your shop, you sell. Your brothers, your relations around, do their businesses, make money, make profits. Economy. We are talking about economy. And then suddenly, the Fulani terrorist comes, kidnaps you, takes you to every of those your friends, your church members, your brothers, your relations, businesses, wherever they are, collects from their profits. Some of them even from their capital. They bring from their economic resources, from their economic power and their economic base. They bring it together to send to the terrorists. That means they have hijacked your economy. They have hijacked the economy around you. Now you are one person. There's another person from another family. Another person from another family. People are being kidnapped here, and the hundreds of people are kidnapped daily. Each tens or hundreds of people connected to them who have their economic base, small size, big, large and small base, and all of that, They all have their economy. They take money from those their personal economies and gather them. The Methodist prelate in Abia State in Nigeria was released million naira. How did they get the money? They tapped into the economy of connected to the Methodist Church, the pastors, the priests, the members, the everyone who is a business person, and that's in their pockets. That means they access their own personal economies and brought out this money was put together. 100 million was taken to the terrorists. That means the terrorists have control, because if they catch one of you wherever you are, that person has linked to other people, now contribute money to come and free that person. That means they have hijacked the economy of individuals. So, which means that for any kind of political power to be sustained is very, very crucial. That is why ECOWAS now endorsed Islamic agenda, because ECOWAS is the economic power of. So ECOWAS became a tool that will be to bring that. They didn't talk about UN, they talked about ECOWAS, endorsed African countries, economic community of West African states, economy of West Africa. And when you hijack any economy, you have hijacked the strength of that country, of that economy or that system, which means that whatever it, you are under a structure that has hijacked you. So if you are a Biafran, wherever you are, all over the nations of the world, if you are a Biafran or whoever you are, indirectly your economy is being sapped to fund the program. that is coming after you. I'm going to talk more on this in another broadcast. I'm going to expand on, but I'll still dwell on it here for a while because I have a little time to finish this broadcast. Now, go after the economy. That's the big question that you should ask yourself. What they do is to kidnap, and then you have to send money. It's a big question you ask yourself. When you are not the only one in trouble, emotionally, your family members are in trouble. What it is that you are in trouble, you are in between death, which means that however it is, in any situation or however it is, you might be killed. Economy, even if you are killed, the economy of your family members. How do I mean? Haven't you heard of people and the ransom is paid, and then they tell them to come and collect the dead body? They took the life of the person kidnapped. They still took them from the economy of each of the people that contributed to raise that money. That money is sent to them. They kill the person money, which means that somehow, and however you look at it, they still got at you. Why is their focus money? Money is of every economy, right? Which means that the value of the money you have, or the currency you have, or the more money you have, the more you are in power. So this answers the question on money. Simple. Money helps them to buy arms, helps them to build structures. Money helps them to bribe. Money helps them to control your saboteurs. Those who don't. Money helps them to design a broad or to enlarge the scope of their operation to subjugation. Money helps them to buy your land, to buy your properties, to take over your land, to take over what belongs to you. Money is what they want to acquire, as long as that thing is relevant to keep you powerless. So when they collect your monies, they now collect from here, they collect from here, they collect from you. For instance, if one person is about 10 people or 20 people who contribute the money, those 20 people now, their economy has been by the need, because of the need of saving you. Their economy, their personal economies, is not for profit. It's not for investment. It is to save you. And at the same time, it is a profit to the Fulanese and their killers. Process. It is for their own investments. It is for their own operational base and logistics. So that money becomes profitable to them because it enables them and strengthens to buy resources and to buy the things they need to deal with you. Whereas it reduces you and makes you more vulnerable, because at this time around, at this point, you're reduced in cash to do some fundamental things that are very important to your. So you can see that the situation we are in, that is why I look at it in that light of ECOWAS. Why is it that it is ECOWAS that now ends in like Allah paid 100 billion to the Fulani that the government of Nigeria paid Yetiala based, which was in line with ECOWAS decision. How come ECOWAS is part of this? Simply ECOWAS has been hijacked. Who are those ECOWAS? Of these West African nations. How come? That means they have all been full. It means that in West Africa, those countries that are part of West African states are all, that's what it means. Small wonder why Mazin Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya and was easily extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria. They are all Fulanized. African countries are all Fulanized. So wherever you are in Africa, if you're in an African country, you have to sit in an emergency. What should happen now is that we need to get our country. You would leave these countries where we are in, all of you that in all these African countries are in danger. Once they discover that you are against Nigeria, once they discover you, they'll pick you and you can be taken to Nigeria. So as it is easier for you to be like in a place, and talk about your freedom than to be in Africa. You know why? They are already full enough. The most important thing that will happen to us in Africa is for us to get our nation. Because when we will now leave those places we are in Africa. All of us who are in Africa are safe. You are not safe. You are in a Fulani land. Anywhere you find yourself in Africa. So when ECOWAS comes together to terrorists, it simply means that they are all under the Fulani program. Fulani 1989 Abuja Declaration has come to full, then you are not safe. The most thing that makes you safe is because Nigeria is already an Islamic nation, a member of the OIC. During Babangida period, it has been registered as member of the OIC. That means you are subject to the Fulani Caliphate, whether you believe it or not. You are conducting an election under the Fulani Caliphate. You keep talking about one Nigeria, your position in the Fulani Caliphate. In fact, if you say you are a Christian and in that place, you are also officially a Muslim. By the fact that your country, the only way you can now come to a country where you will be free and cut off from ECOWAS policies of Islamization is to have your own country. Because by the time we have decide not to be Fulani, we might decide that we are not under Fulani, and we'll decide not to be part of ECOWAS. ECOWAS that's the truth. We'll talk more on this tomorrow in my next broadcast. Please click and share this video far and wide to reach to people where they will support the need for freedom. That now is our freedom. Subscribe to this channel, Biafra Global. Much information and more of the things you need to know from this platform. Thank you for joining in this broadcast. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and also servant of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. Submissive under the leadership of ordained by Mazin Nnamdi Kanu to carry out this program until he returns. Thank you so much for joining me. See you in the next broadcast.